Welcome. I'd like to share a pose with you today that I really love for working on hip movement. And this pose is a variation on Anantasana, or Vishnu's couch pose. Now, normally when that pose is taught, it is a full body pose. There's a lot of different things going on. In order to focus on what's happening with your leg at your hip, we're going to take some of the elements out of that more traditional way of doing the pose. So we'll start out by lying down on your left side and grab a pillow or a blanket to support your head more or less in line with your spine so that you can work towards more stacked shoulders and a head and neck that is a little bit more neutral. From here, you're going to see if you can straighten your legs out in line with your hips. Now, as soon as you do that, you're going to notice that lying on your side is a balance pose. So as soon as you take your legs out in line with your hips, you have to balance along your side body, and that can be harder than it looks. So if you're struggling with the tippiness here, you can do a few things. I have my bottom arm extended on the floor, and that helps a little bit. I have my top arm in front of me, so the hand is on the floor as well in front of my body. You also could place something behind you, and even something as light as a block, although it won't hold you up. It will help you to kind of feel where your body is in space, and sometimes that's enough to help you balance. You could come all the way back to a wall, or if you have no other solution here, you could let your bottom leg bend, and that'll help a little bit, and then just keep your top leg straight because we'll be working in the top hip. Now, when we're moving the leg and the hip, in order to isolate that hip movement, it's helpful if you can keep your pelvis still. So you can, if you like, bring your hand up and just kind of see if that helps you feel what's going on around that top side of your pelvis. And we're going to start to lift the top leg straight up. Now, as that leg comes up, at some point, you might notice your pelvis wants to tip and your side body here, your side waist wants to shorten up. And in fact, that's what we do in the more conventional version of this pose. So to focus on the hip movement more, we're going to try to isolate the hip by keeping the pelvis still. So now as I lift my leg up in space, I'm only going to go so far as I can move my thigh bone in the hip. And I'm just going to hold. Notice as you're holding, is there somewhere in your body where you're bracing or holding tension? Maybe you're holding your breath, or you're gripping your jaw or your bottom leg or your arm. Some of that may be for balance, and some of that may be effort to sustain the work of the top leg. So you're going to see if you can find as much ease as you can in your body while lifting that top leg up in space. And then let your body tell you when you're done. So when you're ready to release, I'll just bring that top leg down. Take a moment here, a few breaths to rest and relax. If you'd like to try this again, you can either do the same movement a second time, or we'll add a little bit of a different movement for that top leg. So this time, as you take your leg up and keeping the pelvis still, when you get to the top, you're going to start to rotate your thigh bone in your hip socket. You might notice that your side seam of your pants starts to roll around towards the back. You might notice that your knees and your toes start to come up a little bit. And then as you bend that top knee, you're going to bring that foot anywhere along your bottom leg. From here, you're going to think about your top thigh pressing back towards the wall behind you so that your knee comes more up towards the ceiling. And you're going to try to keep that movement in the hips so the pelvis is still. Moving only so far as the rest of the body is able to be fairly at ease and comfortable. You might feel some muscles working up around that top hip. Notice what needs to happen to hold. And then whenever your body tells you you're done, you can bring that top knee down and extend the leg, taking a couple of breaths right on your side here. And then come onto your back and rest for a few breaths, noticing how you feel. You may be a little lopsided. And then don't forget to do the other side. If you have any questions, I'd love to hear them in the comments. I hope this has been a really helpful exploration of hip movement for that top hip. It's a fun pose. I hope you enjoyed it. And let me know how it went.